Hi everybody. Tonight's the first night of Hanukkah, so if you know anyone who is Jewish and celebrates, make sure you wish them a happy Hanukkah tonight and for the next how many nights? How many more nights? Let's find out. But before we do, just want you to see all the beautiful Hanukkah books that we have. And you can borrow these. You can just call us, or, well, you can call us, make an appointment, or we can put them together for you, and you can take them from the library and learn all about Hanukkah. So the book I'm going to read right now is called Sammy Spider's First Hanukkah, written by Sylvia Rouss and illustrated by Katherine Kahn, excuse me. And it is published by Kahn Publishing. A book of colors and numbers. So we're going to learn a little bit about colors and numbers. Also, Sammy Spider shivered in the web high on the Shapiro's living room ceiling. "Look, Mother," he called. "What is Mrs. Shapiro lighting?" "That's a menorah," answered Mrs. Spider. "The Shapiros are celebrating Hanukkah. They will light one more candle every night for 8 nights. "It's beautiful," said Sammy as he lowered himself on a strand of webbing to take a closer look. "Be careful," Mrs. Spider warned. "Don't get too close." It was the first night of Hanukkah. Sammy stopped right above the shamash, the helper candle that Mrs. Shapiro had used to light the first candle. "Mother, the flame feels so good on my cold feet," Sammy said. Mrs. Shapiro reached into his pocket, Mr. Shapiro reached into his pocket and handed Josh a bright blue dreidel. Sammy hovered over the flame and listened as Mrs. Shapiro told Josh the story of the Maccabees and the miracle of the oil. The smell of frying potato latkes filled the room. Josh gave the dreidel a spin and squealed with delight. It was spinning so fast that Sammy felt dizzy watching it from above. When the candles had melted and the flames flickered out, the Shapiros announced bedtime and took Josh upstairs. "It's your bedtime too, Sammy," called Mrs. Spider. Sammy climbed the strand of silk webbing and crawled into a cozy corner. Mrs. Spider gently tucked him in. "Mother," asked Sammy, "do you think I could have a blue dreidel to spin?" "Silly little Sammy," his mother laughed. "Spiders don't spin dreidels. Spiders spin webs." 2 red. On the second night of Hanukkah, Sammy watched expectantly as Mrs. Shapiro helped Josh light 2 candles. His feet were cold, and he wanted to warm them near the candle again. Tonight, Mrs. Shapiro gave Josh a bright red dreidel. Now he had 2 to spin. Everyone sang Hanukkah songs and ate donuts filled with sweet cherry filling. The spinning dreidels made Sammy even dizzier. That night when Mrs. Spider tucked Sammy into his soft web, he asked, "Mother, do you think I can have a red dreidel to spin?" "Oh, silly Sammy," his mother answered. "Spiders don't spin dreidels. Spiders spin webs." 3 yellow. On the third night, Sammy once again warmed his feet above the menorah and watched as the Shapiros used the shamash to light 3 candles. They gave Josh a yellow dreidel. Now he had 3 dreidels to spin. The dreidels twisted and twirled across the floor until the red one dropped, then the blue, and at last the yellow. "Mother, could I have a yellow dreidel to spin?" Sammy asked at bedtime. "Silly little Sammy," she said. What do you think she said? Spiders don't spin dreidels. Spiders spin webs. Each night, Sammy watched from his warm perch above the shamash. On the fourth night, the Shapiros lit 4 candles and gave Josh a green dreidel. On the 5th night, they lit 5 candles and gave Josh a purple dreidel. On the 6th night, they lit 6 candles and gave Josh an orange dreidel. And on the 7th night, they lit 7 candles and gave Josh a rose-colored dreidel. Sammy had to raise himself a little higher on the web because his feet were getting hot. On the 8th night, Sammy felt sad as he watched the Shapiros light all the candles, 8 candles, and give Josh a brown wooden dreidel. I'm going to miss Hanukkah, he thought. I don't smell the delicious latkes. I don't hear any Hanukkah songs. And I won't be able to watch Josh spin all the colorful dreidels. And how will I warm my feet? What do you think he's going to do? If only I could have just one dreidel, he thought as the 8 dreidels danced merrily across the floor. What fun I could have! Then he remembered his mother's words. Spiders don't spin dreidels, Sammy. What do they spin? Spiders spin webs. But when the last candle flickered out and Sammy climbed reluctantly up the web to bed, his mother smiled, handed him a gift, and said, Happy Hanukkah, Sammy. Sammy opened the package and found 8 little socks, 1 for each night of Hanukkah and 1 for each of his 8 little feet. Each sock was different color, and on each one Mrs. Spider had spun a little dreidel. Sammy put on his new socks. There was a blue one, a red one, a yellow one, a green one, a purple one, an orange one, and a rose-colored one, and finally, a brown one. He slid happily down a silky strand and began to spin faster and faster. Look, Mother, he shouted. I am spinning dreidels, all 8 of them. The end. Wasn't that a cute story? Stay tuned for the next post on Facebook that I will read Light the Candles, a Hanukkah lift and flap book. And I'm deciding on another one. Happy Hanukkah.